And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 1st meeting of the Harbordale Civic Association. Housekeeping, this meeting is being recorded, which is a good thing because for some reason, we had a problem with the link, the Zoom link, and having sent out the Zoom link to all the members and all the friends and the guests, I had to resend everything out at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm not sure that everybody got it or everybody saw it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of unhappy emails for the rest of the evening and tomorrow. And I promise that I will, as soon as I possibly can, get the recording out so that people will be able to listen to the presentations that we have tonight, which are very topical presentations. And without further ado, let me share my, let me share the agenda. Okay, and the agenda, first item on the agenda is the introduction of our guest. And our first guest is Mr. James Fetter, Code Compliance Officer, Fort Lauderdale Community Enhancement and Compliance Division. James, as I was telling you, we haven't spoken to our code enforcement officer in, I guess 2 years. There was COVID and, things like that interrupted. We used to have a code enforcement officer come to almost every one of our meetings and give us an update on what was going on in the community. So it's way time that we talk to you again about what the code compliance office does, how it works, what are you finding in Harbordale, and I open the meeting up to you to introduce yourself and talk first a little bit about the department. So James, James prefers Jim, so the floor is yours, Jim.
Thank you. So the code compliance community enhancement, we go around to the neighborhoods and cite for different code violations, such as overgrowth, trash and litter, trash cans being out, just all the different, curb appeal items in your neighborhoods. And we usually issue inspection reports to the individuals that have code violations and, give them a reasonable amount of time to come, to fix that violation. And then if they don't, then they are issued a notice of hearing, notice of violation, and we have special magistrate meetings where we present our case and they present theirs. If they're found in violation, then they're given the amount of time to correct that violation. And if they go past that time, they will then get a daily fine. And if the daily fine starts, then they can be liened for that particular violation until it is corrected. And that, that's not a good thing for a property owner to have a lien placed on their property for a code violation. Then they can't do financial transactions with their property if they, like were to sell, or if they needed to refinance or some other kind of thing like that. Then they would have to comply and then come in and resolve that lien. I not sure of all of the, it's usually like bulk trash violations, not so much in your area as that I go around and I've been, making most of the people bring their trash cans back that are out too late, on Wednesdays. I don't work on Saturdays, so there could be trash cans out on Saturdays, but mostly, that's one of the a main focus in that area. Along 15th Street, there was a lot of there was a bunch of areas of the parking lot maintenance for some of those properties along 15th Street. I haven't had any, work without permit, which is usually a big thing that we get in our department. There hasn't been any in your area. And there's been a couple of derelict vehicles, not many, a few. Not a lot of overgrowth in your area, which a lot of neighborhoods have because they have a lot of vacant lots, which you guys have some, but not many. There's the one lot over on between 12th and I believe it's 13th Court, or is it 12th Court?
No, it's 12th and 12th Court.
Yes, sorry.
That's next to my property.
Is that near the cemetery?
No, it's
No.
not by the cemetery. It's almost by Miami Road.
Yeah, it's Miami.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They had a code case there because everybody was parking on the lot and it wasn't, vacant lots have to be covered in grass. And a lot of people dump there on 12th Court. They dump their trash there on that particular property. And we've been having to clean that up. The city just, bills the property owner there for that. And actually today when I went by, there was a bunch of trash cans there. Are you in the townhouses? Do you know what, actually, do you know what they're doing?
Yeah, Jim, basically we have a new HOA group and we are switching our trash can provider. So
Okay.
Waste Management, today is Wednesday, Waste Management was supposed to pick up all their cans on Monday, which are green. So you see all these green.
Yeah, the green and yellow ones, yes.
All the green and yellow cans of Waste Management. Waste Management was supposed to pick up those cans on Monday. They did not. And then our new trash can provider, our cans will now be blue. And some of those cans are out because some of our people have not picked up their cans yet, but you still see a bunch of green and yellow cans out there because Waste Management has not picked up their cans yet.
Okay, I got a call about that. So I emailed our Melissa Doyle, she coordinates with the waste haulers, to ask her if she knew what Waste Management was doing there. Thank you very much for that information.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry, go ahead. You go first.
You go ahead, Jeffrey. I'll go after.
Okay, my question is, what is your, Jim, what is your information regarding that lot? Who owns it and what's going on with that lot? I heard a while back, and because I've been living at that spot for the past 12 years, so I've seen a lot of stuff go on with that lot. But my question is, who owns that lot? I heard that the city has some interest in purchasing that lot, possibly as a dog park. There's been a lot of conversation, but where are we at regarding that lot?
I cannot definitively give you any information on where it's at. I've gotten secondhand information, just like you have, from the real estate agent who's trying to broker that deal. The lot, I believe, is in foreclosure, and I'm not sure what state of foreclosure it is, but they're trying to sell it to the city for a park. I didn't know about a dog park, but it's still in the works.
Gentlemen, can I bring you up to date on that? Because I've recently spoken to. Yeah, I've recently spoken to the Commissioner Ben Sorensen and the Parks Department about that. And there was a desire on the part of the city to purchase that lot for a park, a Harbordale Park, dog park, whatever kind of park. That was a question to be determined at some future date in consultation with the neighbors. But the city actually did make an offer to purchase the property. And the city is constrained in the amount of money it can offer. It can't offer more than a certain multiple of the assessed value. So the city did make that offer. The offer was rejected by whoever owns it, whether it was the bank or whoever's in control of it. And the city was told that they were going to sell it to a developer for another townhouse development. So that's the latest that I have heard, if that, if that helps the situation.
Okay.
Okay, that's the latest I've heard.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Okay, Diana, you had a question for Jim?
I have 4 questions.
Oh, Jim, lovely.
Okay, thank you, Marilyn. Okay, so one question is related to what Jeffrey brought up. You mentioned that that parking lot, I mean, that issue on 12th Court, that the garbage was being dumped there and you guys, the city, billed it to the owner. Is that the owner of that lot? That is
Correct.
foreclosure? Okay.
Yes.
And I'm curious because was it their trash or is it just their responsibility because somebody dumped trash there? That's a question for me.
It's their responsibility because people dump trash on their property. Yes.
Okay.
So
The
if
other
somebody, there was one time when I knew that from one of the townhouses on the corner, it was around Christmas time. And they had dragged their Christmas tree over there and you could see the trail of needles, but I can't definitively say it came from there. But the owner of the property gets billed for that. So what we do is we post a bulk trash notice and we give them 48 hours to clean it up. They don't clean it up. And then the city, then I put in what I call a work order. And the city goes over there and the minimum charge they get is $240, depending on the amount of trash that gets picked up. If it's more than like a small amount, then they get charged more. I don't know how their scale is and it depends on how much it is. So probably the piles that I've seen there were probably minimum of $240. And then they charge it and they put it on their water bill, but they don't have a water bill. So it will probably end up on their tax bill.
So Jim, can I just clarify something for everybody? It's a sort of a general generic issue. People sometimes don't understand this. If you own a piece of property and somebody dumps trash on your property, even if you had nothing to do with it. I mean, I had a condominium on 15th Street and people would come and they would dump stuff by my dumpster, okay? Wasn't our stuff, but we were responsible. The property owner is always responsible for removing trash from their property. Not fair, but that is the way it rocks, okay? So
But
everybody
that-
should understand that.
Yeah, and thanks for that, because that was what I wanted to clarify that. So whatever happens we are responsible for our property. So
Right.
that was a good clarification. Thanks.
Here's a
Marilyn.
clue, here's a tip, here's a pro tip. If somebody drops it on your property, move it onto the swale. Get
No,
out there and I
didn't.
swear to God, get out there in the middle of the night, move it onto the swale and call the city and say there's trash on the city swale.
Good tip,
Pro
Marilyn.
tip.
No, I don't think that works.
It worked for
I mean,
me, works for me.
So,
Most
Jim,
of the
does that work?
time-
Well, let's ask Jim. Jim's the expert.
Oh,
Jim?
what I would do if I were you, if you do pull it out there, I would call the police and report it as an illegal dump.
There you
And
go.
then you call code and tell them there's an illegal dump. And then I will treat it differently because then what I can do is I can put it in as an illegal dump and the city will remove it at our cost.
from our property.
No, from the swale.
On the
Oh, from the
swale.
swale.
On the
Okay,
swale.
got it.
Because the bucket truck needs to be able to have access to it. So if it's on your property, near your, if you're in a condo situation, if it's near your dumpster, they won't go back there and get it. They will pull it off of your swale area. And if it's an illegal dump, if you report it as an illegal dump, yes.
Now,
Okay.
I must say, do not use this as a methodology of getting rid of your trash. That
Yeah.
is not what I am advocating. I am not advocating that. But if you should find yourself in an unfair, illegal dumping situation and, $250, $500, the association
penalty.
can't handle it.
Yeah.
Just, if it's not your trash, put it out into the swale
Can
and
I-
do what Jim says.
Now, let me just ask one question if I may.
Sure.
I'm a little bit ignorant to this situation, but once a month, trash comes around and they pick up once a month. Does that have anything similar
your
to what
fault.
you're talking about?
No, this would be on off times. Your once a month is your bulk trash pickup and And some of the townhouses, condos, and other multifamily dwellings don't get that service.
Right,
You're responsible for removing it. The single family homes, up to 3 family homes, I believe it is. I think you
Correct.
can get a triplex. And they also still have bulk trash pickup where you can put your trash out once a month. I believe
okay,
yours is.
so let me just, for clarification for myself, so when you're talking about the co-ops, condominiums and that type of thing, that trash removal is what you're paying for, the $200, whatever you were just talking about?
Well, only if it's out at the wrong time,
Right.
or if I cite you for it, that's the only time. I believe it's built into the cost of your trash removal in
Oh, okay,
regular service.
Right.
right,
It's not-
So with,
and-
so with community associations, how that works is it's usually in their maintenance. Like where I live, the city is not responsible for my garbage. We pay for a private pickup because the city cannot come in to our community, the city's pickup, whatever, garbage pickup service. So we have to pay it in our maintenance. So if somebody were to dump trash in our community, we would have to remove it ourselves. You know, anyway, we wouldn't even, we wouldn't be able to do that. And we don't have bulk pickup by the city in our community.
Right.
Yeah,
You
we don't,
probably
we
have a-
don't need, we don't either, Rhonda. We don't have bulk pickup.
Yeah.
no,
You
So
guys probably have
Okay.
a process in place to get rid of your bulk
Right.
trash.
we do.
Right,
And
so
then-
Diana, do you have another question
Yeah,
relative to?
I had
Yes.
one more question,
Sure.
because some of them were answered. So the question is that when, and it might be a twofold question. So when a citizen reports, or somebody, whoever it is, reports up another person on issues, because if you said that somebody can report it, right, is what you said?
Yes.
Issue, somebody reports it, and then you guys go inspect it. How do they verify, validate that report? How the person that reported it, or the code, I mean, you know, what gives, is it a citizen's right to report anybody for anything that you're doing wrong? If, you know, the car's parked on the swale, there's grass not growing, there's gravel that needs to be put, and I heard the fine was $500. That's what I was told. So I'm just curious what all that is, how that works.
Anyone can report anyone. They just enacted a new law in July that you cannot report it anonymously.
Okay,
If it is an anonymous complaint, it will be closed out in reference to the new state law. All you have to do is give a name and an address. I'm not going to tell you that you can just say whatever you want as your name, but we're not in the, we don't verify that you're not Mickey Mouse, let's say.
Okay.
Or we
So-
don't verify who the actual caller is. So if somebody calls in and says they're Mickey Mouse and they live at 125, you know,
Wherever.
whatever lane, and they want to complain about their neighbor that's, you know, or a person that has a code violation, we go out and we investigate that. If you do it anonymously, we'll close it out per the new law. If
but
it's
you don't verify.
even if I cannot start an investigation on an anonymous complaint. I have to close it out by law. But if it's a health and safety issue, which I can, you know, then I see it, I can pursue that.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it just seems unfair that somebody can just, you know, arbitrarily call something in and they may have a vendetta against someone. We don't know.
Correct.
I mean,
And
there's
this
all
is,
these issues. It sounds like it's not neighborly to me. But
and that's why they enacted that non-anonymous calls anymore, because they were running into that kind of problem. But you know, a lot of times what I will do is I haven't gotten many anonymous calls lately anyways. even if it was anonymous, I would look and see if there is in fact a problem. And
Mhm.
I would actually talk to the resident and
Homeowner,
say, I got this complaint. If, it's anonymous, but I can't follow through with it, you need to please correct it.
Can I
Yes.
follow up on that?
If there is one there,
Right.
if it is in fact valid.
A lot of people don't know that they are violating the code. For instance, there's a lot of confusion in the neighborhood because we have back out parking, we're not a suburban kind of a place. We're kind of a very mixed place. What is the deal with parking in the swales? I know that the people who pull out back out parking and double park their cars, they're actually parking in the swale. But nobody seems to think that that's wrong, and I've never seen anybody get a violation for that because that's the way the building was designed. But if you have a single family home and you have a swale in front of your house and a driveway, what happens if you got your car parked in the driveway and you have company and they park in the swale? Is that a violation?
No,
Good.
the right of way or swale is actually, the right of way is actually to remove stormwater from your properties, but it is also sort of a temporary overflow parking area
Okay.
for that purpose. And it's along the roadway you can park, but you don't park up on your front lawn.
Okay, well, that's very clarifying because there was a lot of angst going around, people thinking that they were all going to get violations
Oh,
because they
yeah.
parked their car on the swale, which they thought was perfectly legitimate. And you're confirming that that is perfectly legitimate.
Correct.
Okay.
And the only thing you have to worry about, there's not many sidewalks in your neighborhood,
No.
but if you have a sidewalk in front of, as I believe as they redeveloping properties, they're adding in sidewalks. So that's why you see some of them have sidewalks and some of them don't. You cannot block the sidewalk. You have to, you can get a parking ticket for that. And we have certain code officers that we will call out to give you a parking ticket for that particular thing. That's not a huge problem in your neighborhood, I don't think.
Okay, that's good. That's
Hey,
good information. Yes.
Marilyn, can I ask you I have one question
Yeah, go
for
right
you.
ahead.
I have one
Okay.
question for Jim. The lot next to my property has been empty since I've been there. That lot has been empty for 13 years. And it's been a major problem for my development because people in our neighborhood have been using our roadway for our development as a cut through for 13 years. Our roadway has been beaten and battered. It may be, I'm looking at a small little hole that could eventually, I don't know if it could, but it looks like a little small mini sinkhole in that little street. But people will not go down 12th Court to Miami Road to make a right to where Starbucks is. They will cut through our development to get to 12th Street so they can get in line with the cars. And our street has been a cut through for 13 years and the street has become battered. My question to you, I'm sorry, is do you think that the city will not bid on this property anymore?
I can't answer that. I like Marilyn had said, I believe that they probably can't offer enough money to buy that property. Whoever owns it wants more money than the city is worth, that the city is able to offer for it. So I believe that they're probably out of the running.
And
let me
out
ask-
of code enforcement, I always thought that we have some empty lots in Harbordale which are fenced in. When I first moved into my property, that lot was fenced in. Once they took down the fence, then all bets were done. People did whatever they wanted. Under code enforcement, was it a mandatory for people to have their property fenced in?
No, I believe they only do it to keep people from parking on it or dumping on it, or it's normally it's just to prevent people from getting onto the property, the fencing. Or
But it's not,
when not
forced by
mandatory,
the,
no.
not mandatory. Okay.
No, the only thing that's mandatory with a vacant lot is it's supposed to be it's not supposed to be, bare dirt. It's supposed to be covered in living plant material, which
Okay,
most of the time is grass.
cool.
Well, that lot was gravel and dirt for many,
Years.
many,
Well,
many.
they were just, they're leaned for not having it, I believe now. And now they finally they just installed grass after, like, I think it's only been what, 6
Yeah,
to 8 months?
Yeah, they put grass in about 2 months ago, 3 months
Oh,
ago.
has it been that
Yeah.
short?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I see that they're trying to prevent people from driving over there and parking because
Well,
they got
they're
cited.
towing, anybody that goes on that lot, they have a contract for towing cars over there.
So it
Yeah,
looks to me
there's-
like they're getting serious about the development there, if they're making those efforts.
I'm not sure about the seriousness of the
Hmm.
development. What I'm thinking is that he's just trying to stop people from parking on his, for many years, people, not in our development, but for many years, people that lived up the street on 12th Street, whatever in the neighborhood, a Friday night and Saturday night, it was a parking lot for anybody in the community. So on a Friday night, you would see 20, 25 cars in that lot. I have seen people go to the airport and park their car there and take an Uber from there so they don't have to pay for parking. I've seen everything done within that lot. It's just frustrating that at this point, after 13 years, we still don't know what's going to happen with that lot. And we're still combating people cutting through our development each day. We're eventually going to put down a mechanical arm to cut
Yes,
down traffic.
That's
But
what I would
but
suggest.
but I don't want, our road needs to be resurfaced. And I don't want to pay for that, for our road to be resurfaced until after we have the mechanical arm. But because it's been speed up, if the city is going to take over that land, then the city should create some extra parking for our people within our development and resurface that street as well, if they're going to expand into that park.
Is it actually your property or is it an alleyway?
No, our property is the street, is the alleyway. Our street.
But is it technically an alleyway or is it the street?
No,
look at
it's an alley. It's an alleyway for people who live in the development to get into their garages.
I would have to look at the property appraiser to see if
You know,
that's.
Jeffrey, why don't you and I will take this off, we'll take this offline and talk with a bunch of,
Yeah.
no, it's,
I'm sorry.
this is important, and we'll take it offline and we'll look into the whole situation and see if we can't get you some answers to that, okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No,
That's okay.
this is cool. This is very good. Okay, Diana, did you finish with your questions?
No, there was.
Go.
The other question, one was about the fine, which I believe you didn't, I heard it was 500, for these fines on, and then the other final question, that's one. And the final question was the process that you shared with us, would a homeowner lose their home over that lien? That's one thing that I was curious about. Is it a lien just when you sell, or would they lose their home if they didn't pay that lien and it went into foreclosure or something? I'm just curious.
Fines vary. Fines can be, if they're set by the magistrate, can run anywhere from $25 a day to $500 a day. And normally what it is if they have multiple violations, you give them a smaller fine because it's going to build up faster. And, because say if they had 5 violations and they were charged $25 per day per violation, that would be, it's like $150 a day. And then that multiplies every day. And then when it's lien, if the property is homesteaded, it cannot be foreclosed on. If the property is non-homesteaded property, it can be foreclosed on.
Wow.
But
Mhm.
generally, the city doesn't do that, because what they will do first is compose a letter, send it to them, telling them that they were possibly going to foreclose on their property. And the value of the lien is mostly, it has to probably be more than what the property is worth before they would even start a foreclosure
Oh,
process.
okay. That's reasonable.
And then
Okay.
And then normally what they do is they send them a letter, this is about to occur. And then that it usually, gives them a kick in the butt to get going, to comply. And then they have to come in and resolve that lien. Most of the
And it-
time, that's what they do.
But at
And-
least you send a letter you guys let them know nicely first, a friendly letter first, before you even find them, you said, right? There's a friendly letter or something first,
It's not friendly, but there's a letter.
but not a fine first, a letter, and then the fine will be done. Okay.
Correct,
No-
yes.
At
So
least
the
that's
first
better.
thing is what we call an inspection report. And then you get a notice of violation, notice of hearing, and then you go in front of a magistrate, and then you're given more time. And then when that time elapses, that's when the fine kicks in.
So that's
So you're
better than
given
just
plenty
fining
of,
them.
yes, you're
Okay.
giving plenty of notice, and you're
Okay.
giving plenty of time, because the process is not, it's not a short process. It
Got
can take months to get somebody to a hearing.
For a fine, for any fine, whether it's 25 or
Correct.
500.
Correct.
Well, thank you
And
for clarifying.
unfortunately, because the process isn't quick, and people see that nothing's being done, they think that nothing's being done behind the scenes, but we're working towards, getting them try to comply. And my goal is to get them to comply anyways. I don't want to lien somebody's property. I don't want to. I don't. I
Thank
want
you.
them to fix my problem.
Thank you, that's good. I feel more neighborly now for our community. Thank you.
Correct. And a lot of times, I don't know if you've even seen me around in the neighborhood, you might see me talking. You're probably at work.
I'm working in my office all day long, guys.
So you might even see me talking to one of your neighbors. And that's what I do. I try to, like you said, educate them
Very
to,
nice.
this is what's going on, and this is how we can fix it. And I try to give people, the, I wouldn't say cheap fix, but the inexpensive ways to do things, because, everybody's worried about money. And if you put a little lipstick on the pig, it goes a long way.
All right, moving
Hey,
on.
hey,
I
hey,
have a
Marilyn,
question.
can I
Wait a
talk?
second. I have hands up. I didn't
Oh,
see
me
your
too.
hand up, but I've had hands up from Doug. Doug, do you want to unmute yourself? And then Steve.
Yeah.
And then Ray.
Hey.
Doug, you're on.
I'm Doug Mayberry. I just moved here months ago. Still learning all of this, and thank you for inviting me to the meeting tonight. My question was, and I apologize if you've answered this already. The lightning strike earlier took out all of my internet, and it was about 10 feet from where I'm sitting. So, also, I have congestive heart failure, so sometimes my brain stops working in the middle of the sentence. So bear with me. If you put an application into the city for a permit with all the backup documents and everything, do you get some kind of receipt for that, or how does that work?
Building department is not really our realm, but if you apply for a building permit, they should give you a document saying what your application number is. They should give you a permit. It's not gonna be the permit number. It'll be just like because they put it into the computer and it generates a number. Yes, and they will give you that information
Okay.
when you go in and apply. Yes.
I was told because of COVID, we couldn't actually go in and talk to people, but that must have changed.
Yes, it
Yeah.
has. Yes,
And
but I
then-
was just wearing a mask.
Yeah, of course.
Go indoors. Yes.
Okay, Doug, did that answer your question?
Can I ask one more quick one?
Certainly, and
Yes.
then we're moving on to Steve and then Ray.
Okay, the construction that's about to start on the Federal Highway, the tunnel and everything, the whole length of it. My experience in other places I've lived is it will be a nightmare for the people that live along there and people trying to turn off of Federal Highway and cut through the neighborhoods. Have any provisions been made to try to limit that when this construction goes on?
That would be a question for the Transportation and Mobility Department, and they should have a MOT plan for that.
Okay.
That's, movement of traffic. So they should, if they're doing any kind of road construction, they should be applying for MOT, which is, it's telling, trying to move the traffic through the area without any congestions or too much issues. So that would be the Transportation and Mobility Department.
Doug, I can answer that question a little because I was on the Zoom call with the department, the state FDOT, the state agency that's doing that project. And most of the movement of traffic off of Federal Highway is going to happen further down past Davie. It's not going to affect us as much. They're going to reroute the traffic off of Federal through 3rd Avenue, 9th Avenue, those places around to the 3rd Avenue Bridge. So that they're very unhappy up there. They are really, really unhappy because they're really gonna get hit. But it really should not be affecting us as much, not at all, actually. So peace to us this time, okay? All right, Steve.
Jim, who do I call about palm trees needing trimmed? They're overhanging the street and I hit them with my car every time I drive down the road.
Are they on people's property?
I don't believe so. There's no sidewalk where these are and they got them as close to the roadway as, I think they're illegally planted, but they're as close to the roadway as you can get.
Hold on a second. Give me the address and I'll go and see what's going on. What's the address?
Steve, can you tell them where it is?
Do you know the
Well,
address?
these trees are on Barbara Drive.
Barbara Drive. Do you go over
Okay,
as far as Barbara Drive?
Yes. So are you talking about those brand new Canariensis that were planted in the Swale area?
No, they're not. No. They're not in the Swale. On Barbara Drive, it's a 2-lane road. And about 6 months ago or longer, these 3 palm trees were planted and it's.
Yeah, the Canariensis. I know which ones you're talking about.
Okay.
I could stop by and I believe I know which ones you're talking about. I could stop by and ask them to trim a few of the palm fronds off.
That would be great.
Okay. All right, Barbara
I
Drive.
mean, I never noticed that anybody's there, so I haven't stopped to try myself.
All right.
Okay, Ray, let's get
Thank
Ray
you.
in and then.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I have rentals and I have my own home and I've been cited over the years and the code officers have always been very workable and kind and Jim, I know Jim, I recently was cited on my property where I live and he was so nice. He even gave me suggestions on what to do and it all worked out great. So anybody that has an issue with code, I think it's really, they are the ones with the issue because I find them to be very kind and workable. So thank you, Jim. You do a great job.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And then one last question, Michelle Kane, did you have a question for the code enforcement officer? Michelle?
Yeah, hi. I just had a question. If somebody reports what they perceive to be a code violation and a code officer actually investigates it, what is the procedure for follow-up? I had once reported something quite a while ago and I never heard anything. And it took me a very long time to get any answer as to what had occurred. And I had to pursue it as opposed to being contacted or being able to readily find out what the resolution was of the complaint.
So there's our system, LauderServe, LauderServe, that you can go in and you can track. Did you call it in or email it in and they gave you the case number?
I called it in, I had a case number and I went to LauderServe and it wasn't there. And I had to track down the code enforcement officer and it took weeks till they finally got back with me. And when they
Oh,
did, they said it was.
That won't happen with me, don't worry. If you call it in, something else in, and no, I'll call you back, don't worry.
Thank you.
That's not
That's
gonna
it.
happen. I mean, it may take a day, or if I'm off, leave me a voicemail. You know, you can find my information online, and definitely, you know, I call back everybody, and I know
it
wouldn't let-
wasn't, it was somebody else, but I know they do our area. There's not always the same person in the Harbordale area. You're split, so I don't know.
Well, they just changed. We've changed, areas, and yes, I'll be hopefully here, knock on wood, for a little while.
Very much.
Okay,
Thank
guys, let me ask you something. This has been a wonderful discussion and I'm sure we could spend another hour with him. But we also really have two other presenters today. And also what I would like to do is I will get Jim's contact information and I will put it very prominently on the front page of the Harbordale.org webpage. So if you go there, you'll be able to get in touch with him and continue this discussion with him specifically or generically. Does that work for you, Jim?
Yes. That works perfectly. You have my email address.
I'll take care of it and I'll put it on.
And don't, anybody don't hesitate to contact me. And if I don't know the answer, I will try to find it out for you. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your being here. And when COVID is over, we look forward to having you coming to some of our meetings and meeting with us personally. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Okay, we have two other guests
Thanks, Jim.
tonight. We have Mandy Harlan, who is a new business owner in the community, and she is the public events and community outreach officer for the new medical marijuana store. And then we have Maria Rodriguez from Tim Ryan's office. Since Mandy was listed first in the agenda and Maria is added on, we appreciate her. Let's talk with Mandy Harlan. Mandy, you're up.
Hi, how are you? How is everybody? Thank you for having me. And thank you for having Sunnyside. We greatly appreciate it. I'm not the owner. I wish that would be lovely. Sunnyside is a medical cannabis dispensary, and they are actually in 11 states, and Florida just being their most recent one. So Fort Lauderdale is our store the furthest south. Before that, in Beach. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have. We're just happy to be here. In the state of Florida, there's currently close to 600,000 medical cannabis patients. And the way it works is there are licenses issued by the state. Currently, there are 22 licenses and the state is issuing 15 more in the next year or so. So we're in good company. The state is growing as one of the leading cannabis industries. So it's really, really incredible to see that. Never expected it in Florida. So happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Could I just give you a little context here?
Yes.
2 years ago, when this application came before the Civic Association, it's a big deal application. It's a site plan level 3, special permit kind of an application. So it's a lot of public hearings that went on and public presentations. And we actually in Harbordale passed a resolution supporting it because we believe in, for a number of reasons. Everybody had their own reason, but it worked out that we got a unanimous support at one of our meetings for this project. There were questions though, there were issues about what kind of precautions do you take? What kind of law enforcement issues are there? How do you operate? People were concerned, you know, there's going to be a lot of traffic and people are going to be coming in and out. And what is your experience now that you're there? Is it operating essentially like any retail operation, or are you finding that there are more challenges to this type of a facility?
No. So it operates just like any other retail facility in certain ways. So we actually have a vault where we keep all of the products. So it's just like a bank vault, which is in the back of the store. We have security present daily. We have a security team in our headquarters out of Illinois, and then they also obviously staff locally here for the stores. Traffic, I mean, just like any other retail operation, it typically is after business hours that we are the busiest, but we see probably anywhere from 50 to 100 patients a day. So it's not a massive amount. I think in recreational markets, you'll see lines around the building, you'll see parking lots constantly full, and that's just not the case here in Florida, just because there are so many options and it is medical. So it does limit who is able to come into the store and to purchase. So traffic is pretty well controlled. That's something that Sunnyside is known for as well, is getting people in and out of the store quickly. So it is a fast transaction, and there doesn't tend to be a lot of lingering or people hanging around for long amounts of time.
Okay, that's good. Does anybody else have any questions for our newest business owner in Harbordale?
I do.
All right.
Hi,
Cindy.
Mandy.
Hi.
Mandy. It was so nice to meet you at the opening event.
So nice to meet you as well. I was like, you look familiar.
And I'm so happy you're here. Could you explain to everybody, like what kind of product you have? How does one get a medical marijuana card? I know that's not your end of it, but you know, maybe explain a little bit there, what you have for product, and your hours and all of the things like that. Also, are you going to be getting more product and different product like edibles and tonics and whatever else?
Yeah.
I looked at some of the other shops like in Chicago and California, Massachusetts, and they all offer, you know, a lot more than what you have presently, but I'm assuming that you will be growing.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So I'll start with the first question, which was how to get your medical card. There are doctors within the state of Florida where that is their sole practice, is to prescribe these cannabis cards. In order to get a card, you have to have a qualifying condition. There are currently 13 listed in the state: Crohn's disease, MS, Parkinson's, HIV, anything terminal, to name a few. But the state of Florida has also opened it up to say that if you have a condition that gives you a symptom that is similar to one of those qualifying conditions, you can obtain a card. So for example, chronic pain is currently not a listed ailment, but under the MS umbrella, chronic pain can now be prescribed medical cannabis. So you would go see your doctor. You have to have your records from a previous doctor noting these ailments, and then the doctor will help you register with the state, and then you get a card that literally looks like a driver's license issued by the state. Product wise, right now, we are primarily flower based. So we have the best growers from Colorado and California and from Florida that we have recruited. And it is the best flower in the Florida market. We also have tinctures and topicals and vape pens and cartridges. But yes, to speak to your point, so everything in Florida, every medical cannabis dispensary has to be vertically integrated. So we are required to grow our product. We have to grow the flower and we have to make all of our own product. We can't do anything wholesale. So what that means is the way we are able to bring in other brands is we bring in their representatives and we learn their process here using the flower that we grow. So it just takes a little bit of time to set that up. But yes, within the next couple of months, you're going to see some of those other brands coming in that you see in the Chicago store and in the Illinois stores. And it's going to continue to grow. So we'll probably start with a few. And then after, I would say probably by the end of this year, we'll offer all of those brands and all of those products, including edibles. Edibles are very big and popular because our baker is Mindy's Edibles, and she's a James Beard award-winning chef. So she makes some incredible goodies that I'm excited to try myself.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Mandy? And you can pop on over there and talk with the representatives yourself. And if there are no further questions, I want to thank Mandy for.
Can I ask one question?
Oh, well, certainly.
You know what, when you had the grand opening, I didn't see any signage out there. I wasn't even really sure exactly what was opening. It just said Sunnyside. It sounded kind of like a breakfast thing. Is there signage coming?
Right, I know. So I'll give you a little background on the name Sunnyside. Sunnyside comes from the perspective that cannabis gives you. You tend to see the brighter side of life. And if you're living a healthier, better quality life, you're seeing the better side of life. For the grand opening, we did have a tent out there. We had a pretty balloon arch and things like that.
Very nice.
Yeah, that fun stuff. But we are limited by the state what we are allowed to do in terms of advertising. So we cannot be on any billboards. We can't be on any park benches. We have a store that's a little difficult to see from the road, and we're not allowed to put any type of signage at the road to even help direct them.
How about on the actually on the storefront, I didn't really see anything other than Sunnyside.
Yeah.
So is that prohibited or?
Yeah, yep, that's exactly it. So in marketing materials and private materials, we can say a cannabis dispensary, but on our outside signage, the most it can say is MMT, which stands for Marijuana Center, but that's all we're allowed to do at the most. And that's also why you see the asterisk, because we're not allowed to use the cannabis plant itself. Well, we are in Florida, but they're not in other states. And since they're in other states, that's what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pleasure.
All right. Any other questions?
I have one.
Certainly. Ed.
Mandy, how many dispensaries do you have in the state now?
So currently we have 9. Fort Lauderdale was our 9th, but I will tell you that we're opening at least 5 more, with one being in North Miami, the rest mostly up towards the Panhandle by November. So they are moving quickly.
And where's your grow center?
It's in Indiantown, so it's just outside of Jupiter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any tours?
Yes, we would love to have tours. It got slowed down because of COVID, but I do have a list. So I'm going to add you all to that list. And as soon as we get back up and running again, I will let you know. And any of you are welcome to come and join. It's quite the experience.
Oh, and then yet again, on the homepage of harbordale.org, I will put all of Mandy's contact information, and you can contact her to get on the list for a tour. How's that?
Perfect. That sounds wonderful.
Will we get free samples on the
No,
tour?
Cindy.
Oh.
This is a medical.
T-shirts and hats and all the swag you can ask for.
No, really. Yeah. The important thing I think everybody needs to realize here is this is medical health and wellness. We're not talking about recreational marijuana. This is medical health and wellness.
Correct.
Everybody should, look at it through that lens at this time. Okay, Mandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, now
Thank you.
if you can send me that information and I'll put it right on our webpage.
Perfect, will do.
Okay, all right, thank you again. Now, Maria Rodriguez from Commissioner Tim Ryan's office. Maria, you with us?
Hi, everyone. Yes, can you see
Hi.
me?
Yes, indeed. And for a little context, remember before COVID, every time we had our meetings, the elderly rotund gentleman in the back of the room, John Bertino, he was a font of information and goodwill for us. And he was representing Tim Ryan's office. I understand he's doing well, but he's not there anymore. So Maria is here to talk to us about all things county.
Yes. Hi, everyone. And I'm here with my colleague, Eugene Bold.
Hello, everyone.
So yes, like Marilyn said, I am taking on some of the roles that John Bertino had, which was mostly coordination with civics association and HOAs, and the communication between, closing that gap between the HOAs and the county, and explaining a little bit more what resources the county has and what things we may be able to help you in the future. So I'll just quickly go over some of the, example services that the county provides. I had sent Marilyn a pretty in-depth service guide. I call that Your Service. And it's a directory of all of the resources, tools, and services that the county does provide for each of our residents. And hopefully if we're in person at any point in the future, I can bring one of these, the actual booklet. I sent her PDF and I'll send it again after this so she can circulate it to you guys. But it includes an A through Z of everything that the county can provide. For example, right now, we're focusing a lot on the COVID vaccine and COVID testing sites, bringing that information, what's the one, what are the sites closest to you? We're also working a lot on, just recently we started, for example, the mosquito repellent spray that the county does. And so it starts in different areas, and Fort Lauderdale is one of the first ones. The greater Fort Lauderdale area is one of the first ones to get that. So, you would never think that the county provides that, but the county does. And if you are in specific need of your surrounding area to be sprayed, then you can request that from the county as well. I believe it has a fairly small fee, but you can also ask for that to be waived depending on your circumstances. Also recently, we started back up a lot of the services that we unfortunately had to put on hold due to COVID at our animal care center. So if your pets are in need of, any vaccines, any, spaying and neutering and things like that, the county can also help out with that. So there's, a whole lot of services that the county does provide for each of the residents, as well as one of our jobs is to see what communities like yours needs and connect it to what the county can provide. So we would just like to take part in these meetings every once in a while and see if you guys are in need of any help, anything that we can do. We'd gladly be able to, call on some contacts and see which ways we would be able to help.
And Marilyn, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us over. I feel like this is, we're even though we're virtual, we're part of your community. And it's really heartwarming to know that John has been such a tremendous resource for the association, because we certainly miss him here. But obviously, we're very happy to have Maria here and for us to be able to kind of embark on a new journey. And so I know COVID has been obviously a very, very challenging time for so many of us on a personal level, on a community level. And so this is a new chapter also for the, not just the office, but for the county in general, in terms of the resources that we offer. And so we're not just here to simply relay the information and to provide resources, but also to ask in terms of what resources would be most useful to you. What are you looking for in terms of, the county, or what the county can do to help assist you and the community. And so it's a conversation. We don't want it to be a unidirectional delivery of information, but rather an interactive exchange of information where we can learn from you as much as you learn from us. And so that's why we wanted to make sure that we attend as many meetings as we possibly can. Well, obviously we have about 40, 45 groups and associations in the district that we're trying to be part of as often as we can. So sometimes we may not be able to, but we'll try as often as we can to join you.
So this is so wonderful and so timely, because most people don't recognize the outsized role that the county plays in our neighborhood particularly. Because the convention center, the port, the airport, these are all county facilities, and how we
That's right.
relate to them and how they relate to us and their operation and the problems that we have with them. The relationship is not between us and the city, it's between us and the county. And many of the road issues that we have to deal with, like for instance, the signs, okay? All the traffic signs go through Broward County. So while Shelby and Karen Warfel, who are working for TAM in the city, are our liaisons to the county, it's actually the county that does the traffic counts, that does the street signs. So having a revitalized and good relationship with the county is very important to neighborhoods, all neighborhoods, but particularly ours, because the facility, the big facilities in our community are county facilities. So we're really delighted to have you guys, and you will be hearing a lot from us, I'm sure.
Well, we'll be happy, to get back to any inquiries that you guys might have. I'm going to post in the chat right now all of our social media links. So if any of you have any social media like Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, we post regularly on there about the different types of resources that the county is providing at the moment, as well as in that same message is our email and our office phone number. If you would like to contact us in any of these ways, feel free to do so, and kind of, an open door policy here at Tim Ryan's office. So feel free to reach out in whichever platform you prefer. And then one last thing, which is important, one of the other resources that the county's kind of pushing and providing a lot of help on is rent assistance, because the end of the eviction moratorium kind of was struck down, or the extension of it was struck down. The county has some federal funds that they're putting towards rental assistance. So if you've been impacted by COVID and you or any of your residents and anybody that just spread the word. It's a fairly simple application, and you can log on to the website and fill that out. And if you need any help on that as well, you can again, feel free to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also important to note that the county is a major player in the homeless situation. And with the homeless encampments on our bus stops, also major county participation in trying to find solutions to these problems. So
that's absolutely right, Marilyn. The county devotes, and I haven't checked the number within the past couple of months, but last I checked, about 27 million in all of the human services programs devoted to assisting and tackling homelessness. So the county is very serious about this, because we obviously care about the folks that are on the street, but we also care about our neighborhoods and want to make sure that everybody feels safe. And we do everything we can to provide all of the resources we have available to these folks, right? And since you brought up the bus stops, I'm gonna plug in real quick. The electric buses, we started introducing electric buses on some of our routes. And so that's a new, very exciting development. And also from a safety perspective, since you mentioned that there are some homeless encampments at some of our bus stops, we're going to start having some BSO officers. We started working with them because we realized there were some incidents on our buses or around our stations that were just not very good or positive. Some encounters that were less than optimal. And so we decided to reach out to BSO. We have a contract with them. So we're going to have a number of officers that are going to rotate on buses and, hop on and off and stuff, just to enhance security on a lot of these routes. And so, we're trying basically to do whatever we can to improve whatever service we have, to improve it and make it more beneficial for our citizens.
Okay, Pam, did I see you put up a hand immediately and then take it down? Pam Miller? Asked to unmute Pam Miller? Nope. Nope, she went.
No,
Okay.
no hand.
Okay, no hand. All right. All right. Thank you, guys. As I said, we will definitely be talking with you a lot more because these are pressing issues for us. So, okay, very good. Thanks again. And
Have questions?
oh, wait a minute.
Sorry.
There's questions?
I don't know. I see some people have their hand raised virtually. So I was just wondering if anyone had any questions that we might be able to.
Actually, I was looking for hands. Did you see hands? I don't see any hands.
Heather and
Ah, all right, Heather.
and
You're-
someone else, I believe.
You're up, Heather.
Chichi?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I had just a couple questions. You noted that you assist with the spay and neutering. And I actually just was in a situation recently where there was not one, but two feral cats that opted to have kittens on my property. But man, I struggled. I couldn't even get through to Broward. And I was told that all of their assistance is shut down. You guys used
When
to
was
have
that?
This is 3 weeks ago.
Wait.
2 and 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, ultimately I posted it on Nextdoor and got hundreds and hundreds of comments, but it literally took me like 4 days of calling around and sorting it out to try and find a rescue that could assist. So my question really is, why is the TNR? Because I mean, it seems to be worse since the TNR program was halted. I suspect due to COVID, where now there's just feral cats all over the place, having kittens all over the place, and it's really just kind of just exploding an already problematic situation. So, again, is there plans to reinstate this?
So actually, I think I just spoke to another resident that had a similar concern, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. Thank you for looking out for those little kittens and cats and helping them find, a home. For the TNR, there actually is TNR available. That's trap, neuter, and release available for the residents. It is done right now. I think, they only give X amount of vouchers and sometimes they run out, but those programs are available. I think
I couldn't even get listed. It would just say failure, unavailable. It was just, and I tried because.
I see. Of course. No, I see. And I just talked to the director and she said, I think it's an error on the website, a communications issue, and they're going to be fixing that because I just had another resident reach out to us about that. If you have anything like that in the future and you aren't getting to, animal care, feel free to reach out to us. These are the kind of problems and situations we're able to help facilitate. Maybe we don't have the answer immediately, but we can definitely get like a foot in the door through these situations.
Okay, Maria,
especially-
contact on the website.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Heather, especially in a situation where you feel like you're not here, you're not getting through, or you cannot talk to somebody, that should not happen. So please let us know right away, because usually we get to the director right away. On behalf of the commissioner, we represent Commissioner Ryan, and usually when we call, we can get, and usually we try to figure out what the problem is, and try to troubleshoot the issue. So thank you for letting us know, and I'm very sorry. On behalf of the county, we're sorry that you experienced or you didn't have a very pleasant experience in that regard. But hopefully that's not gonna happen again, and we're here to help out.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Chi-Chi's iPhone. Is that Carlos?
That is Carlos. Good
All
evening,
right,
Marlene.
good evening.
How are you? Well, first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to be part of the Harbordale Civic Association, and thank you to the association itself. Using this opportunity to speak to the county and, being a manager of the Port Condominium, our concern has been for a little while regarding, homeless and the different illegal activity that does happen around the neighborhood, especially off of 17th Street on Grande below the drawbridge. And it has improved. So I thank you for your efforts. But what are the current plans to keep that situation improving by helping these people, and also in a way give to our residents some peace of mind, as you know, many of them work and they go out at night to walk their dogs, and you know, they may encounter situations that are of course less than friendly. That's basically my question. Thank you.
That question, Eugene touched on it a little bit before. Right now, we are working with what we call task forces, and they're in the homeless assistant program. And what they do is go out to these more, I guess, where people are congregating at the moment, and see what resources they're able to provide to these people who are homeless. So there's a couple other programs. The issues, obviously, through because of COVID, there's a lot of other people who are having issues that lead to homelessness. So it just, it's a lot to handle at the moment. But there are a lot of other programs that can step in and kind of fill those voids. So if you said it was 17th Street and Brandon, if I'm not mistaken?
No, it's 17th Street, right off, Grande Drive, Grimande. And this is a building between the old Art Institute building and the Hilton. It's the Port condominium. And I thank you so much for, really offering opportunities to those who are trying to get their feet back on the ground. But mostly our concerns remain were the ones that don't really want to be part of a program. And I think that's been the greatest issue. Some of these people, and I can list you a number of them, had used that location as their home address, where when you pull their information, you see really serious cases where, aggravated assault, sexual assault. And of course, these are difficult situations that if someone does not want to be part of a program, what can we do to help them, or at least, help the area as well?
Right. Well, ultimately, there has to be a collaborative effort between us and the city, because law enforcement in Fort Lauderdale is Fort Lauderdale. BSO usually, unless there's some really serious, situation requiring their assistance, BSO would not come to Fort Lauderdale, because Fort Lauderdale has its own police force. So when it comes to law enforcement, that would be Fort Lauderdale. However, if there are multiple instances of violent assaults and, similar, matters, then we can contact the city and ask them whether they are ensuring safety for the community in that area. Because even though we are not the ones in charge in terms of the law enforcement aspect of it, we can always reach out to them and see what they're doing to protect the residents from being harassed or assaulted, even worse. And so we can at least, the concern would be coming through the county to the city, as opposed to directly from you as a person, as an individual citizen. It would obviously take a different route, and hopefully, it's going to start, ringing some alarm bells. Number two, we can work in conjunction with our, basically we can see what other resources we have available at the county to address the issue as it is. Because like you said, some of them may have, for example, mental health issues that are causing them to behave in a certain way, or drug abuse issues, right? So we do have a drug abuse center within the county that is addressing a lot of these issues. So we just have to basically figure out how big the problem is, what has been done up until this point, what are the available resources at the county, and whether that is drug rehab, whether that is, some other resource that we have that we can use in conjunction with law enforcement because oftentimes these issues require, it's a multi-jurisdictional approach and a multifaceted approach, right? So support, but also law enforcement. And most likely, some form of medical, psychiatric care in some cases, right? So that's why understanding what the problem is, and obviously, if you live in the area, you're one of the best people to kind of help us understand what the history is, what happened within the past few years, and what the response of the local authorities has been, from Fort Lauderdale. Is the police responding in a timely manner? Are they doing something about it? And then we can also approach this, like I said, by contacting our departments that handle, mental health, drug abuse, housing, all this stuff for homeless residents, and then see if they have contacted this particular group that resides in that area. Because like Maria was mentioning, that we have this task force that literally goes out and meets with homeless people and offers resources. And so we can see what combination of resources we can use to help address some of these things. But if we could have some additional details, if you're aware of any particular instances or any additional detail that can help us put together a plan of action would be useful.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Carlos, we could talk more about that offline. And I want to I don't want to give anybody the bum's rush here, because it's been so long since we saw representatives from the county that we could talk all night with them. But we're losing people on the call because it's getting to be 8:30, and there's a number of items on the agenda that we really have to get to. So Maria and I'm sorry, what was your name? Maria and
Eugene Gold.
Eugene and Maria, thank you for coming, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Bye, Marilyn. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone else. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night to you too. So let's get back to the agenda, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to give you an update on the city's noise ordinance changes and the convention center outdoor activities, but that's not time pressing. We have time to do that. So I'll put that, I'll defer that until the next agenda. And perhaps on our October meeting, we can have Alan Cohen give us an update on what's the status of the convention center project and the bypass road. So I will put that on the next agenda. Ditto for the discussion about the one-stop shop. Again, it's not pressing and it's not immediately in our neighborhood, so we can defer that discussion. I just want to give you a very quick update on the membership. Okay, wanted you to know that we've gotten a lot of new members just recently. Just recently, we got like a whole bunch of new members, maybe 10 people who came in through the website, which is really, really terrific. And we currently now have a contact list of 285 people. That's the Harbordale contact list. They get the Harbordale news. We have 46 paid members, which is one of the highest numbers we've ever had, 46 paid members. And we have a list of 35 friends who have requested to participate in our meetings. So I think it's amazing, given that it's COVID, that we are doing really well in terms of our membership. And I think it has to do something with the Zoom meetings, because I think a lot of people really like participating via Zoom because it's so much more convenient. But at some point, we're going to have to start thinking about when we're going to start meeting again. We were going to start in September, but given the Delta variant, we thought, that would not be prudent. But at some point, we all have to get together again. The thinking now is maybe for our December holiday party that we usually have over at the East Spot restaurant. If things get a little bit better, maybe we can look forward to that. But until that time, we're going to continue doing our meetings and our board meetings virtually. So that's the update on how and where we're going to be meeting till the end of the year. The good news is that in relationship to the joint use proposal of Harbordale Elementary School, you remember perhaps that representatives from the city's school administration and the Harbordale Parents Association talked about letting us use the Harbordale Elementary School for, open it up for public use on the weekends and in the evenings. We did make the, hello? Okay, quickly, we did make the cut in terms of being included in the recommendations to the city for the program. So the first step, we got through the first screening. We have now been recommended by the city to be a joint use school and park. There's 2 more steps to go. We have to get approval from the Education Advisory Board and the Parks and Recreation Board. And then ultimately we have to be approved by the City Commission. But at least we made the first cut, and we should have an answer a couple of months whether or not we're going to be able to participate in the program, which is such a great idea for us because we have so little open space and park space especially. And if we can have our neighbors and our residents using the playground at the school on the weekends and in the summertime and in the evenings, that would be such a boon to the residents. So we're working very, very hard on that to make that happen. And the last thing that I want to get on the agenda, we can talk about celebrations and other things like that. It's not pressing. We can talk about that at another time. But what is pressing is, believe it or not, another year and another election is coming around. We have to have an election in November for officers and members of the board. We have to have a slate by the October meeting and we have to vote in November. So it's time to start thinking amongst ourselves if the current members of the board are going to step up again for another year. And if there are new people, new blood, people who want to step up and participate on the board, we need to get them to start thinking about that. And I will be putting information on the webpage asking for people to contact us and let us know if they are going to participate again this year and any new people who might want to volunteer to be on the board. So that you should keep an eye out for that. That's sort of coming. And before we go, there's something that's very, very exciting that I want Cindy to talk about. And I'm going to put up something on the screen here so you can see this. This is very exciting. Cindy, do you want to talk about the wraps?
Sure.
Okay, look, you talk, I'll find it.
Yeah, as everybody probably knows, we've been working on wrapping our utility boxes for 5 years. Anyway, we finally made it to the top of the list, and we are working with somebody who actually has, I don't know if the word license is correct, but the license, I guess, to one of the 2 people in Broward to use Guy Harvey images. So we talked about this a little bit last time and in our executive meeting, and it seems everybody's pretty excited by it. Marilyn's going to put an image up of one of the boxes that the person we're working with, his name is Tom, that Tom has already done using Guy Harvey imagery. So we're very excited, and apparently the Guy Harvey people are pretty excited because it's going to be on 17th Street, which is really the premier marine yachting, fishing street of Fort Lauderdale. So it makes perfect sense that, and a great fit to have the Guy Harvey images. Actually, tomorrow, Marilyn and I are going to Tom's business, and we will be looking at the catalog, the Guy Harvey catalog that is available, and we will put together some things. But as you can see, this is 3 sides of 2 different 2 boxes that he did. And if you can, people can like expand it. If you can expand it on your own, you'll see. I mean, Guy Harvey stuff is pretty beautiful, and you know, it goes with our neighborhood, which is really a marine seaside neighborhood. So I don't know. Do you want me to say we have 5 boxes to cover, starting at there's one on Federal Highway and going down to Eisenhower, both sides of the street. So I think it'll be a beautiful addition to our neighborhood, and we're pretty excited about it.
Okay, and just so to give a more context to it, we have put together a small group of people, including business owners, 17 representatives from the 17th Street business owners, the port, the shopping centers, and us. And so it's a representative group of people who will be looking at this information. We'll bring it back to the Civic Association once we have some actual proposals for the approval of the Civic Association. And we may have to spend some money because Guy Harvey is Guy Harvey. So we may be coming back to you with some recommendations for spending some of our Civic Association money to get this work done. But I believe we'll also get a lot of contributions from the business owners, especially the hotels and the shopping centers and the convention center and the port. So
Right,
we're hoping that
that's
we'll
right.
get a lot of money from them. I don't know that it's going to be a lot of money. I mean, the Guy Harvey guys are very enthusiastic about showcasing his work on 17th Street. So
Yeah, it's only a small percentage of what the cost of putting the box together will be.
and the
So-
city is paying for the boxes. The city is paying for doing the boxes. We
Right.
are only going to be perhaps contributing to the artwork to get the artwork done.
the consulting and the, putting it together.
Right. So it's very exciting, but I will caution everybody that,
We're not
it's in the
quite
works.
there. Yeah.
It's not a done deal yet, but it's in the works. So stay tuned. There will be more on this.
Can I just piggyback on the
Sure.
money thing with, I'm gonna go into green your routine because
Okay, thank you.
Carol, who unfortunately couldn't attend the meeting tonight, has been working like a demon this last year, getting us all to volunteer and all this stuff. She's finally put our package together. And the little witch will not tell me, and she's not going to tell anybody what our amount is, but she says the amount this time is more than we have ever seen before. Like really, really great.
We're going to be number one.
We're going to be number one.
All right.
So
Good.
a big thanks to everybody that worked on getting us these points. And, it was a lot of sweat, a lot of sore, achy muscles, but a lot of laughs too. So we hopefully will do the same next year and continue on having nice things for Harbordale.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. So it's 8:30. I think that's we've covered everything that is critical to be covered, and there'll be another meeting, and we'll have a continuation of a lot of these discussions. And unless there is something that somebody wants to bring up that is a pressing issue in the neighborhood that we hadn't thought about, or something we're not aware of, is there anybody who wants to sort of in open forum bring up something that they want us to look into or something like that? Hearing nothing, I will move to adjourn the meeting. And remember, I'm going to be putting up a lot of information on the webpage, right on the front page, contact information for the people who spoke tonight. So give me a little while to get that together. Give me a little while to get the recording of the meeting done, and I'll post that as well. And you can always contact us between meetings if something comes up and there's an issue that we have to take care of. So not hearing anything further from the members, I want to thank you all for coming. I apologize again for the mix up with the link, but these things happen sometimes. So thank you again, and I want to wish you all a good night. Stay safe. See you next month.
Thank you for everything you do, Marilyn, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.